Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Mesh with Willamette Week, and today I am speaking with Susan Vaslev, who is the co-manager of Enchanted Forest. For those of you who are not longtime Oregonians with a hankering for amusement parks, it is an amusement park that is, it's just north of Salem or south of Salem, Susan?
Just south of Salem.
Just south of Salem, between Salem and Eugene. You go around a bend on I-5, and if you look to the east, to your left, if you're traveling south, you see a little hill, and scattered around that hill are roller coasters and enchanted castles and a little woman who lives in a shoe, all sorts of magical items made out of, I'm not sure what they're made out of, to be honest.
Mostly cement. My father, most of his artwork is in cement.
So your dad, Roger Tofty, started Enchanted Forest, what year?
So he started building in 1964, and then he opened in 71.
Wow.
Yeah.
The reason we're talking about Enchanted Forest today is because you've put up a GoFundMe seeking $500,000, right?
Right.
And the goal here is to keep Enchanted Forest operational until it can reopen in the spring.
Correct.
Because essentially you haven't been able to get like more than 40 people a time into this amusement park since the pandemic began.
Yeah, what it is generally what happened, before COVID, we were a thriving family-owned park. We had no debt, zero debt. We were always full. We added extra parking, would shuttle people, so thriving business. Then just before we were set to open for this year, COVID hit, and the first half of our season, we weren't allowed to open at all, not even to private family tours, so zero income. Then, then when we got into phase 2, we were allowed to open, but because we're an amusement park, we were only allowed to have 250 people capacity, including employees. Now, this is for a park that normally has a couple thousand. So it was way better than not being open at all, but it doesn't come close to paying the bills. So we were kind of waiting to see what would happen by the end of the season, where we would really be. So by the time we closed for the end of this season, we were well into debt and going down fast because there's just no way to bring in money on that small of capacity.
What are the expenses of running an amusement park, especially when it's not in season?
Yeah, so when it's not in season,
there's got to be maintenance upkeep, right? Like
that's it. You kick into high gear on maintenance. So like for rides, every car on a ride gets tore down to every nut and bolt, and then everything that could have stress on it gets magnaflux and tested by an outside company to make sure there are no stress fractures starting or anything like that. And so there's heavy maintenance, and you can't just close a park for a winter and go, oh, well, we're not going to do any maintenance. That has to stop. No, we have people's lives in our hands. So you have to keep up on everything. Everything has to be documented. And people don't understand that for a roller coaster, for a log flume ride, it's all very specialized parts and things. And a lot of those things were made only for here. But if you even go to replace wheels or anything like that, that can be, tens of thousands of dollars just to replace the wheels. So custom. Yeah, everything's custom. So it's not like you can just go in and buy these things off the shelf. So to run an amusement park, like I said, there are your normal things, insurance and property taxes, of course, the wages of the people that you were able to retain. We've had to cut our workforce. Like in the summer, we would normally have a seasonal workforce of 200, and that had to be cut to 70. And the winter workforce, we even had to let some of those people go. And many of the people that are full-time are on unemployment right now. So, we've cut back what's a huge operating budget. Normally, when we're doing really good, we have cut to in less than half. but we really are at the point where we really can't cut it anymore. So we know when we're looking at those figures, and the problem is, you go, well, just take out loans, just take out loans. Yeah, well, we're already into loans. And the problem is, we've had loans in the past. We don't normally take out loans, but we have in order to build really large projects. But then you have that large project, like we took out a large loan when we built the Challenge of Mondor, the indoor target shooting ride. But then you open that ride up, and then you have new revenue coming from that ride, and that pays back the loan. Now, the problem now is that all of the debt we're going into now, when we come out of COVID, there will be no new ride. There will be no new thing to pay off those loans.
And
So
for that matter, you don't actually really know when you're coming out of COVID.
no, and we do not think we're out of this, because for us to start to recover, we need to be back to business as usual. And as long as it's not business as usual, you know, and we feel like we're very responsible. We temperature check, masks, constant sanitizing. On the rides, we're talking, we sanitize between each rider, you know, 6-foot distancing, all of that. But we will not start recovering until we're back to business as normal, because if we are still at COVID restrictions, which we need to be safe, nobody's saying we don't want to operate safely, but we will continue to lose money.
Sure, it seems like it's the same problem that many restaurants face right now with capacity, only at a vastly larger scale.
Vastly larger scale, and in proportion, much less. So, because for a place that normally gets, you know, this is not a 50% capacity cut or a 30 or 25. This is like, I mean, less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
And because what we would normally have several thousand, you know, 250, and you've got to count at least 50 of that's employees. And so, you know, 200 people, the people that did visit us this summer, you know, they would all say, oh, we love this. Nobody's here. Yeah, exactly. Nobody's here. You have the place to yourself. It's a large place. You know, we're outside. There's 15 acres approximately, give or take. You know, it might be 20, but it's a large area you're walking around in with only those other people. So
is it a different atmosphere when there's only like 200 people in the park?
oh, definitely a different atmosphere. And you know, of course, a lot of people enjoy it because it is that you've got the park to yourself. It's very relaxed as far as there are no lines. You know, you just walk up to a ride. You know, it's an exception if there's any kind of a line. And
like
so
the National Lampoon's Vacation, where they get to ride everything by
that's pretty much what it is. So, and like I say, that's better than nothing. But you know, there's a point at which you go so far into debt, there's no chance to come out of it.
Can you tell me what kind of feedback you've received from longtime patrons?
Oh my gosh, it's just been, you know, I start getting choked up when I talk about it, because there are so many letters in there with that people often put in with their GoFundMe money, and they're everything from ones that almost make me laugh, like somebody said their parents met here, they would not be alive if it wasn't for Enchanted Forest, that they wouldn't have even been born. And so many other people, what it's meant to them, what it's meant to the generations in their family. So many people have so much respect for my father and how he created the park from just, you know, absolutely nothing, and working with next to no money and building it by hand over all those years. And so many people have met him out here because he works out here every day. He's 90 years old, and, you know, he's out here all the time. He's out here today. And, you know, he just loves what he does, and very humble, very, you know, down to earth. And I think people just, when they meet him face to face out in the park, they just really love him. And I get a lot of that too in the comments. You know, real support for the family and understanding the family dynamics and the family business. You know, a lot of people that have been out here and visited have met different members of the family. So I feel like I think it's also affected us in the standpoint that I think over our whole life, we have been not feeling alone, but feeling it, um, like we never asked for help. It was like we did this on our own. The work is ours. Um, but and nobody ever does anything totally by themselves. I mean, there are a lot of circumstances behind things, but this is different. This is like, it feels like the whole community is behind us and rooting for us and wants us to stay and be here for generations to come. And so it really feels like it's become a community ownership in a sense, like we're just enveloped by this warm community that really is supporting and trying to carry us forward. So now I'm going to get choked up.
It's a little bit like a Frank Capra movie. It's a Wonderful Life quality.
Oh my gosh, it really is, and we just can't thank people enough for their reaching out and supporting us in our time of need. It's just, see, now there I go getting choked up, but that is the way it affects us. It's just magical. It's just wonderful. So
Well, Susan,